Hi, everybody. Welcome to Parker Live. My name is Jacob Rhodes. I'm Senior Vice President of Marketing at Parker Staffing. And today I'm really excited to introduce Micha Goebig. She is the founder of Goebig Coaching, and we'll be talking to her about getting beyond perfection today. Parker Live is just something that we like to put out there put a little good into the world. It's meant as an introductory to the topics. We'll try to keep this to about 20 minutes and hopefully give you some good ideas so you can go and research on your own or feel free to reach out to Micha and talk to her a little bit more about anything you hear. So with that said, welcome, Micha. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I was really excited about today's topic, getting beyond perfection. And I actually already had a couple people from the company ask me what that means. So I thought I'd just throw it out there. Maybe you want to talk about what does getting beyond perfection mean to you?
Yeah, getting beyond what's on the other side of perfectionism. There's excellence. There is striving for excellence. And that's what I mean by that. Really unlearning the perfectionism and getting to a healthy striving for growth and excellence.
Okay, so we always talk about, especially in sport, right? Perfectionism is the ultimate and people want to be perfect. So why the goal of unlearning perfectionism?
Sport is actually a good example here.
Great.
So today's top, I don't have a very specific example, but today's top runner runs a time of X on a distance Y.
Right.
That is considered perfect. That's the perfect person, right? But of course, in 1942, someone else was like 3 seconds slower for the same distance and was unbeatable. And probably a few years out, there's someone somewhere who will easily beat that world record.
Right.
In 10 years, I don't know how long, depends on the sport, but you know where I'm getting at. So actually what all these people do is they deliver excellent results. They are measurable, they are repeatable, not necessarily very often and by very many people, but by someone, and they can of course be outdone by the next excellent achievement. So it's not perfect because perfect is static. And excellence shifts, right?
So what you're saying is that perfectionism tends to be a target that you can achieve, and then once you do that, someone else can do it, whereas excellence is always a bar that you're moving kind of ahead of you and shifting your goals. Is that correct?
I mean, have you ever told yourself, Jacob, perfect?
Probably not, no.
Exactly, right? You might have told yourself, that was excellent. That was a great job, right? So, I mean, not only does excellent and hey, great job, or I really like that, that is something we can actually tell ourselves. That is something that feels good because we know that we can't achieve that level every day, but we know obviously we have enough experience, we have worked hard enough, we were in a good mindset, we had good sleep the night before, whatever. All these elements came together, but it was our achievement and it was excellent. And perfect is something we always see in others, always. And the reason for that is because it doesn't really exist. So comparison culture gives us a lot of examples of what perfect is. And if we even get close, let's say the runner, right? If I'm a young runner, well, you know what I mean. If I were a young runner, and I look at someone who holds a record right now, and I get closer, then of course, my mind will immediately go from hitting that record to, oh, you have to outdo it. Because perfection, the target always uses, the target moves further out because it doesn't exist. Right.
So you kind of mentioned, excellence and striving for excellence. So in that scenario, what does a healthy striving for excellence look like?
So I think when I strive for excellence, let's go back from the runner, because most of us and our viewers are not runners, or at least not Olympic runners, in an office setting. I think the striving for excellence is something that we can really all do in in our work sector, because we know after a few years, not maybe in our first year or something, but we know very soon what excellent looks like. And we can put the task out, and we hopefully have someone, a superior or a colleague or a mentor, someone who can also help us nail that down, to say, okay, this is excellent performance in what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can put together my action plan, and can do okay, how much hard work is required, but not overdoing it.
Right.
Right. I mean, if you work for 18 hours on a 50-minute presentation, that's not efficient. If your perfectionism gets you there. Also, yeah, trying to get yourself in the right mindset. So excellence is something you can have an action plan for.
Okay. Are there any positives, or I put it this way, is perfectionism something that's always negative? Are there any positives to it?
I thought about that for quite a while when I tried to unlearn perfectionism. I think it never really serves you well.
Okay.
Because that striving for excellence can mostly serve you, right? Perfectionism doesn't really serve you, because you can be a very ambitious and hardworking person, and whatever you want, competitive or whatever you want to be, you can be all of these things, striving for excellence. You don't need the false ideal of perfection.
Right. I think when we were talking about it, one thing I thought about was, like you mentioned, building a presentation, spending 18 hours on a presentation, and people who are putting so much work into the look and feel of that presentation, the perfect title page, and it looks great, and they could put hours into it.
Yeah.
But when they go into the meeting, the most that they can get out of that is someone else thinking, oh, that looks nice. What's the data and what's the next slide?
Yeah.
So you kind of miss out on that. So talking about that healthy striving for excellence, and what are some practical steps that people can take to kind of build that?
So I think what the most important step is, first, to be kind to yourself. You are not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect, and that is okay. So we all do our best, and we have to embrace that, our best, not someone else's best, right? And so I think a couple of steps that are super important in striving for excellence are setting goals that work for you, that inspire you, right? Because we have kind of an outcome in mind, but we need to really feel inspired by the steps we take. Because the runner once more, the runner is not inspired by getting the medal after the race. He or she is inspired by being the fastest on the track.
Right.
So that's where our attention and our focus has to go. Because sometimes a person runs their personal record and still is not the receiver of the gold medal.
Right.
And that still is an exceptional, excellent result. So that's why focus on the steps and making them attainable. A lot of people think goals need to be so big that you struggle.
Mm-hmm.
We're not supposed to make our lives harder.
Right.
That's not the point. If I work with a client and they say, okay, how likely is it that you achieve that goal? What would you say from 1 to 10? 10 being the best. And they say anything under 7, I say, nope, okay, let's find another goal. Let's reframe that. Because if I feel like I have a 60% chance of meeting my goal or less, that's super frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
7, like 70%, 80% means, okay, I stand a good chance of actually doing it. So make your goals attainable, and then you can be much more inspired by them too. And go with fact and not fiction.
Okay.
So the biggest stories are the ones we tell ourselves. So the person with the presentation they spent 18 hours on have an idea of what people expect of them. But that's all a story. The facts are, you are supposed to present about this and this topic showing this and this data.
Mhm.
You have 15 minutes. This is the room. This is your audience. That's the facts. All this other, oh my God, they think I'm so competent, but maybe I'm not. There's someone in there who knows more about it than I do. Oh my God. And all these things.
Right.
That is fiction.
One of these, like a tip that I've taken in my own career, working on into that presentation example, is I will put time into it based on what I believe has to be accomplished.
Mhm.
But well before I'm at that end, like maybe when I'm 20% into it and I have an idea of how it's going to look, that's when I circle back around to whoever I need to, whoever I'm delivering the presentation to make sure that, hey, I'm 20% in. Are we still on the same page of what you're expecting?
Yeah. Yeah.
That way you're not at the end of it, and then now you find out the day before that what they want is different than what you've done, and then you have to go through everything again. So I think
Exactly. And that's
yeah,
basically, you get the fiction out of the way, because of course you have an idea in your head what this other person expects. But if you don't ask, you don't know.
yeah, exactly, exactly. You and I, when we talked last time, you had mentioned decision fatigue to me.
Mhm.
Could you talk a little bit about that and how that plays into striving for excellence and perfectionism?
Yeah, so decision fatigue happens when we are confronted with more and more decisions in our day. And there are plenty of studies that our earlier decisions in the day are better than our later decisions. If you want to Google that, Google for judges and decisions. So that's an interesting read. But so our earlier decisions are better because we are fresh. Or decisions, let's say after we have eaten or after we have rested, are better. So, and right now, we have a lot more decisions to make than usually because our daily life has changed,
Mm-hmm.
right? Usually, let's say you know how to drive a car. If you haven't driven in 5 years, suddenly this takes a lot of attention. The basics take a lot of attention. It's like, oh my God, how does this work? And that's all little micro decisions.
Right.
And now these days, going to the supermarket is something that requires a ton of decisions and takes up our brain space. So it's very important to be careful about prioritizing. And that, so if you're wasting a lot of your brain energy when you try to make perfect decisions, because what we need always, but I think now, right now, even more than ever, is like you have to make a decision and run with it and then reevaluate.
Right.
And see, okay, did that serve me? Did that lead to the result I want? Was it excellent? And start over again, instead of perfectionism leads us to procrastination.
Right.
And decision fatigue paired with procrastination, I mean, you got a toxic cocktail.
That's like leaving the hardest decisions off to the end of the day. Like
Yes.
I don't want to deal with this right now. I'll deal with it at 5 o'clock on a Friday is
Yes.
not very good.
Yes. Yes. Friday 5 o'clock is the worst time. Nobody should make any decisions. Yeah. Yeah. Or like also family decisions, now that people work from home and often both adults in a household, if you have private decisions to make, you might have to carve out a little window earlier in the day to talk, and not say, oh, we'll discuss that after work when everybody's tired. And just because you are in the same space, either do it on the weekend or carve out something where you say, okay, I can take a little morning break. We can talk about that, or we get up earlier. We talk about it first thing.
Okay. No, it's a lot of information that people are getting right now, and there's a lot of things coming at people, right? You and I were talking about that
Yeah.
earlier. It's just a
Yeah.
different environment and scenario. So I think this becomes very, very important. Do you want to talk a little bit about yourself and your business and what you do?
Yeah, love to. So I'm a life and leadership coach, and I primarily, but not exclusively, work with women. My background is in the German automotive industry.
Okay.
And so my coaching style is more German, I guess, focused on being pragmatic, efficient, finding straight up solutions that work for people. I'm also very direct. So, and I primarily work with people on unlearning what holds them back, because I think when I look at women these days, no, especially, but the same is true for many men. You don't have to tell people to learn and learn and learn, because they do that anyway. And what you have to tell them is, okay, strip away certain things that you took in when you were much too young to really know if that makes sense or not. Like perfectionism, that's something we probably mislearned when we were pretty young. We thought, okay, my mommy will be nice when I come home with straight A's only, to simplify that. But there are a lot of these things that, like imposter syndrome, perfectionism, self-sabotage, we can unlearn a lot of the limiting beliefs that cause these self-sabotaging behaviors, bad habits, all kinds of things. So that's my primary focus, working with people, because I think that relates to private life and their career to the same extent.
And what's the easiest way if someone wants to get a hold of you and talk a little bit about something you've brought up today? What's the easiest way to get a hold of you?
So the easiest way is probably through my website, goebigcoaching.com. There's a contact form there too. I do read the Facebook messengers, but I'm sort of off Facebook for the time being. You will probably find me way too often on Instagram.
Okay.
That's my that's go_big_coaching. I really enjoy that. I'm a bit into design things and Canva around. So the presentation, I spend a lot of time on my presentations too.
Okay.
But and then of course I'm on LinkedIn under my clear name. So as you read it right now, Micha Goebig. So please always feel free to reach out. I also have a free 15-minute phone call on my website. Just like if there's one thing that came up and you want to talk about it quickly, don't hesitate to book that 15-minute session, because that's what it's for.
Okay, perfect. And what we'll do is we'll make sure we get all those contacts and list them in the article as well. So, but thank you. I think we've reached our time limit, and I just wanted to thank you very much for your time. Really, I think our contractors will get a great benefit out of listening to this, and I encourage everyone, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Micha. But thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.